Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be taking a look at the GSh-25, a Soviet Tier 6 attacker that costs 30,000 coins. And before you guys start spamming my comment section asking me to make a video on the F-18C, F-15C or any other top tier jet, please check out my Trello page because commenting that just makes me feel more pressured and less motivated. With that cleared up, we can focus on some gameplay, and here I've got a bit of a longer clip. I'll start off by engaging an A10. If I keep my energy advantage, I shouldn't have any problems defeating him, as I can easily bait him into an energy trap which will make the A10 lose all of its speed and eventually make him stall. But currently he's hiding behind terrain, hoping that I have the average attention span of a doom scroller forgetting things after 5 seconds. And then I spot an FAT, so now I feel pressure to take care of this ground hugging A10 as soon as possible. I come in way too fast for my own good and am not able to get a good shot in. I was only able to disable his engines and I couldn't afford to be slow in front of an FAT. As expected, I overshot the A10, but he's so slow that I'm outrunning him while trying to reverse the FAT. I notice he cut his afterburner, so I'll make him regret that choice by bringing him into a vertical. Not recommended at all in this plane or situation unless you know what you're doing, which I obviously am. Here I'll try to either energy trap the FAT or make him overshoot. He stalls out and I'm almost able to get a shot in here, but now I've planted myself on his 6 and he won't be reversing me anytime soon. I'm barely outturning him here, so I slam the elevator and take him out with a keyword shot. After an engagement like this, you'll want to regain as much energy as possible. I'll be doing that by turning some of my potential energy into kinetic energy, or in simpler words, trading my altitude for speed. And for whatever reason, people love to hardlock enemies in this tier. Doing that offers no real advantage, and it should only be done if you're planning on launching a Sarg missile. Now that I'm somewhat quick again, I'll turn towards the enemies and try to claim a kill or two. The A10 is the perfect target for that. And if he flies straight at me in a head-on, I'll easily be able to take him out. I disable one of his engines and use my energy advantage to go vertical. Even with both engines, the A10 isn't able to follow most of the times. And now all I had to do was put my nose on target and squeeze the trigger. But the action is not done, as another FAT is doing dangerous acts near my teammates which resulted in his death. I'll try to avenge him but take a poor shot in the head-on, which is followed by a merge. It doesn't seem like he wants to run away from me, which is a perfectly viable strategy against the GSh-25. Instead, he wanted to dogfight me, and I can imagine he doesn't know the full potential of this thing, as most GSh-25 players, if even there are many, stick to base bombing and generally don't engage in dogfights. He fires an A9C from way too close and I'll be able to simply turn away from him. This move also allows me to set up for the reversal, which he'll end up falling for. This FAT, however, doesn't cut the afterburner in this entire engagement, which makes him way too fast. If he keeps it on and manages to avoid my guns, he can go for the energy trap, but he does something else instead. Just as I'm about to stall, he cuts his afterburner right above me, which forces his nose down, giving me an advantageous position. He'll need more time and speed to be able to maneuver efficiently again, which I'll use to get on his 6 by cutting my throttle. If he plays it correctly, he'll have another chance to energy trap me. That would only be possible if he didn't cut his throttle earlier. So now he's slow and he tries to reverse his turn, hoping he could possibly loop on my 6. But instead he ends up giving me an easy shot, which I was able to use. Now we'll take a look at its performance in general, and a quick look at it tells you that it isn't that good. It's not the fastest or most nimble aircraft in this tier, having one of the lowest top speeds and roll rates. The turn rate also isn't the best, especially when you're stuck. It can be comparable to the one of the F-104 Starfighter. But being this low also has an advantage, and that is your ability to easily reverse enemies. Of course, this won't be possible if you're completely drained of it, but some people will come in very fast. After they've overshot, you'll have a small amount of time to get your guns or missiles on target, which can sometimes give you an easy kill. Keep in mind that you should also avoid getting slow in this aircraft, as regaining speed isn't the easiest thing to do. Dogfighting should also generally be avoided, as an experienced player can easily energy trap or outurn you. Now we can focus on the offensive armament. You get one gun, 2 different missiles and a large variety of bombs and rockets. First, the gun. It's the GSh-32. It's very similar to the GSh-31, except this one is dual barreled, meaning it has nearly double the fire rate of the GSh-31. With 250 rounds, you'll need some trigger patience and the gun placement is a bit off-centered, but in general it shouldn't be that noticeable. To deal the maximum possible damage to enemy aircraft, you'll want to pick the air target's belt. One well-placed burst is usually enough to destroy an enemy plane. I'll cover the air-to-air and air-to-ground tournaments later on in the video. Now I'll quickly go over the countermeasures. You get a total of 256, 128 flares and 128 chaff. This is a very good amount, and running out of them is almost impossible, unless you're intentionally wasting them or haven't rearmed in a while. The first missile we'll be taking a look at is the R-60, a rear aspect infrared heat-seeking missile. For a stock missile it's very good. The gimbal is a bit small, which limits how much you can lead your missile if you're firing it from closer ranges. Otherwise, once it's off the rail and if it's not too close or too far away from the enemy, it should be able to hit targets, even the ones that are maneuvering a lot. Firing it from ranges over 2.5 kilometers is not recommended, as the missile's range isn't that good. You can fire it from farther if you have a noticeable energy advantage, which you won't have in this plane. You also have to keep in mind that this missile gets very easily flared, only having a flare resistance of 1, which means you'll want to hold on to it if the enemy is pre-flaring or if he is actively looking around and is aware of your presence. A lot of the times you'll be fighting FREs and they can be very annoying to deal with, especially if they launch aim-7s at you even though you're flying at an angle towards them and then running away from you like you play this game as a professional hitman. Luckily this wasn't the case with this one, and he actually gave me a chance to dogfight him. His superior energy state would easily allow him to energy trap me, but he does what 95% of the player base does, and that is reverse return into your guns. I genuinely don't understand why people do it, and it just ends up getting them killed because they rely way too much on the enemy having bad aim, therefore missing these kinds of shots. In this case it worked out for him nicely because my aim was all over the place. Now we're both stalling and the GSh-25 handles better at these lower speeds, so it's just a matter of time before I end up on his 6. His teammates also tried to help him out, but there was somebody closer to them and they probably thought I wasn't an important threat. This time I was finally able to land a shot, but couldn't relax for too long as I had to worry about 2 enemies, another FRE and an F5E. I was hesitating a bit to engage, but the F5E had much more energy and was heading directly for me, so the choice was clear. I fired a short burst and was only able to get 1 critical, and then he simply ran away. The R-60M is a limited all-aspect infrared heat-seeking missile that can be purchased for 120 upgrade points. If you're exclusively going to be bombing in this plane, I don't suggest buying this missile, but if you want to have a chance at air-to-air combat, it's a must. The limited all-aspect seeker allows it to be fired in pretty much all aspects if the enemy's heat signature is large enough, but firing it in head-ons isn't recommended as it gets flared very easily in that aspect. The bigger gimbal allows it to be fired in more situations as you can lead the missile more, allowing for high off-board launches. The improved flare resistance of 3.5 makes it more challenging to defeat for enemies with a large heat signature. With the Doncoder Afterburner, no amount of flares will be able to save them if fired from behind. Maneuverability and range-wise it's pretty similar to the R-60, so you can go back to where I talk about it for more information. You also get access to the GSh-23L Gunpods, being able to carry a maximum of 2. Each gives you 250 23mm bullets. You can purchase them for 30 upgrade points, but getting them is only recommended if you plan on attacking enemy aircraft after bombing. Having these gunpods can help with your poor aim, but you should keep in mind that the muzzle velocity of the gunpods is lower than the one of your main gun, so sometimes only one will hit. This will happen a lot if you fire your guns from longer distances. And don't forget about trigger patience, as it is still required even with the gunpods. With the gunpods you can create the best loadout for an air-to-air role. It includes 2 missiles and of course 2 gunpods. But even with all that, you're still vulnerable to SARC missiles, as obviously you don't have any, which forces you to go defensive and hope you can make the enemy overshoot. But if you have enough time, you can try to pull in for the head-on shot, and if aimed well, you can easily beat any aircraft. Here I obviously didn't aim well, so I'm forced to turn around. If I tried to run away, he would have eventually caught up to me. Not to mention he had teammates in my direction of travel. We both pulled in for the head-on around the same time and were not able to do much damage to each other. But now I'm much slower than him, which means I'll be able to turn into his turning circle, and 1 short burst later he had both his wings sawn off. The first bomb we'll be taking a look at in this video is the OFAB 100. It's pretty similar to the American LDGB Mark 81 or the 250-pound bomb in terms of the explosive mass it has. You can carry them in large quantities, a maximum of 32, but they deal very little damage to ground targets, so you need to rearm at least once to destroy a base alone. Luckily you get them for free, but even then, I wouldn't recommend to use them for grinding. The OFAB 250 is the first bomb you can purchase for 25 upgrade points. You can only carry 8 of them, and compared to the other 250 kilobomb that the Big 27 can carry, it's not as good. Can go around 40% less explosive mass. Not to mention you drop 2 at a time, which limits the amount of ground targets you can bomb. If you were able to drop them individually, it would be a good upgrade. You'll need to rearm at least once to destroy a base by yourself. The Fab 500 M62 is the heaviest bomb you can purchase for this aircraft for 50 upgrade points. Getting it is a must if you want to excel at base bombing, as it can carry a maximum of 8, with 4 well placed ones being enough to destroy 75% of a base. You also drop them individually, so you could potentially destroy 2 bases. In my opinion, it's 100% worth getting, even if it's a little pricey. The S5K is the first rocket we'll be taking a look at in this video. You get it for free and you can carry it in very large quantities, a total of 256 if equipped on all compatible pylons. However, they deal very little damage to ground targets, sometimes you need multiple rockets for one ground unit. But because you get so many, you won't need to rearm to destroy a base by yourself. You may need to do multiple passes, but if you're patient enough, it shouldn't be a problem. The SZKO is the first rocket you can purchase for 30 upgrade points, and it's highly recommended that you get it. They deal much more damage to ground units and you can still carry a large amount of them, 160 to be precise. You can comfortably take out 1 or even 2 bases without rearming, but you may need to do multiple passes to do so. The second rocket you can purchase for 30 upgrade points is the S13OF. Compared to the previous 2 rockets, it has by far the most explosive mass of around 7 kilos, which allows one rocket to destroy multiple ground units. You can only carry 40 of them, but that's more than enough to fully destroy one base. You can get it if you want, but if you're short on upgrade points, stick to the S8KO. The S24 is the third rocket you can purchase for 50 upgrade points, and getting it is, at least in my opinion, not worth it. It does have a large explosive mass, and if you carry 8 you can destroy a large chunk of a base, but you'll need to be more precise to destroy 75% of it. The previous 3 rockets are much more lenient and cheaper, so only get this one if you're interested in the next few rockets. The final rocket we'll be taking a look at is the S25. There's 3 variants that this plane can carry: the S25O, S25OF and S25OFM. The only difference between them is the explosive mass. The first of 3, the S25O, features a proxy fuse, which allows it to be used in head-ons, and if fired precisely enough, they can give you a couple nice kills. The other 2 S25s are not really worth getting, as they each cost 50 upgrade points for basically the same thing. And they don't have a proxy fuse. You can buy them if you're swimming in upgrade points or just want to unlock every ordnance. I'll quickly go over the avionics present on this aircraft. You don't get a radar, and for the RWR you get the SPO-15. For this tier it's more than enough, and if you want to learn how to use it, you'll want to check out the wiki where it's nicely explained with example pictures. Finally, let's place this aircraft on this tier list. I'll place it into A tier. With the right air-to-ground ordnance, it excels at that role. You can comfortably bomb multiple bases and destroy a couple enemies with their decent air-to-air capabilities. The 2 missiles, gunpods and proxy fuse rockets can really help you with survive enemy attacks.